Do you know the stories of these three women who are related to Jesus? You see, in the beginning of Matthew in chapter 1, Matthew goes through this long patriarchal genealogy. Patriarchal meaning it's a genealogy that is focused on men, from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob, all the way down to King David and down to Joseph. And that's how genealogies worked. They were always focused on the men. And therefore, when Matthew highlights these three women in the genealogy, it's a deliberate choice to do something different to grab our attention. These three women were Tamar, Rahab, and Ruth. So what did these three ancestors of Jesus have in common? And what does it tell us about Jesus' mission? See, first, all of these three women were outsiders. They were from tribes that were the non-chosen tribes, i.e. they weren't Israelites. Tamar lived amongst the Canaanites, Ruth was a Moabite, and Rahab was found in the city of Jericho. These three women were not naturally included in the chosen family of God. But God brought them in. Not only did he bring them in, but he brought them in to include them into the messianic line, the line that leads to Jesus. And it shows us that even though God had chosen a nation, the Israelites, that since the beginning, his intention was to be reunited with all of his creation. And it is Jesus, their great-great-great-great-great-grandson, who fulfills God's original promise to Abraham, which is that all nations will be blessed by Abraham's seed. The second thing they have in common is all of these women lived through deep vulnerability and loss, but God brought them through it. You see, Ruth and Tamar were widows without someone to take care of them, and they had to fight for their survival. Rahab was a prostitute in Jericho, and you can imagine the fights that she had. All three of them knew what it is to be at the edge of society, to be rejected by society and kept on the outskirts, to be that close to falling into depravity. And God meets them in that instability and walks with them out of it. And this tells us about Jesus' mission, which is to meet us in our darkness, in our vulnerability, and walk with us out of it to bring freedom. And the third thing they have in common is that each of these women had a critical moment of courageous faith. Without Tamar, there would be no Lion of Judah. Remember, Jesus is the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Without her bravery, there would be no line to come from. And without Rahab's courageous faith, the Israelites would have been defeated in Jericho before they entered the promised land. They had a decisive moment of faith that guaranteed the succession of this chosen family until Jesus came. And similarly, Jesus asks us to have a critical moment of courageous faith, and that is to support his mission, right? Jesus' mission is to bring all nations back into relationship with God. And once we become part of his family, he asks us to do the same. He says, go therefore and make disciples everywhere you go. That takes courageous faith. And like Rahab, Tamar, and Ruth, we have this critical role to play in ensuring that the family of God continues to grow.